Hi everyone, I'm Daniel Green on The Wine List. How about if I told you right here exclusively on EVINE.com we could take you on a tour around the world in one presentation. Argentina, we're going to Australia, we're going to New Zealand, and we're also going to South Africa, all in one presentation of wines that connoisseur Anthony Giglio is going to take us really an understanding of wines. You are really an incredible expert who's written 10 books,
Thank you.
understanding wines, but you seem to be on such a level that you relate to us. When you've explained wines to me in the past, it makes sense for the first time.
I've told you over and over again, I am a blue-collar kid from Jersey City who found his way into white tablecloth restaurants of the world. I worked at Windows on the World in New York City back in the 90s.
I remember going back in the 80s there.
Right, exactly. I worked there in the early 90s, and it was just an amazing experience when I became a sommelier. And I've always kept at the foundation of everything that I've done, through the books, through the classes and everything else, to keep it real and to keep it simple. And by the way, I come from people who like a good bargain. And I think that you could find value in every region, even if the value is an amazing, inexpensive Sauvignon Blanc from somewhere, or if it's an amazing Bordeaux value from the most expensive place on the planet, Bordeaux, but we could find value there too. It's about sniffing around and tasting and trying. So I'm doing it for you here.
This package, you've sourced for us a selection which is about entertaining.
Yes.
We're going to start off, what country are we going to start off with?
Start with
this bottle, my goodness, what about this?
I mean, it's cliche to say this caught my eye, but it totally did. And when I saw it the first time, I was like, that can't be wine. I mean, the people who make this, it's Protea. They're from South Africa, and this is a Chenin Blanc, which is a rare grape you don't really taste outside of France. They're making it here. South Africa has a huge history with this grape, but the bottles they're actually making, they say, we don't want you to recycle it, we want you to upcycle it.
That means using it for something else.
Right, and what would you do with this? As a chef, come on.
Oh, I do my salad dressings.
I
mean, I do olive oil and balsamic, where
Exactly.
you start to use that again for something and put it on the table. It's almost put a candle in it and make that old rustic French look.
Anything you could do, but I think it's really pretty. Beautiful silkscreen bottle. And the grapes, Chenin Blanc, rare outside of the Loire Valley in France.
Yes, I think I've only seen it with South Africa wines outside.
Right, it's big in South Africa and in the Rhone Valley in France. I'm sorry, in the Loire Valley in France.
What am I looking for in this? What would you say is a good Chenin Blanc?
So if you were tasting, in the order we're tasting, let's say you put them all on your table with your friends, and because I have this as number one, we're going to expect it to be the lightest, which is a safe assumption, and it is. So next to the Sauvignon Blanc, which we'll taste next, it's the lightest of the four. Crisp, minerally, probably not a lot of oak. We're guessing if we didn't know, probably not a lot of oak. It's all about the minerality and the clean, pure fruit aroma of the wine. I don't get any oak at all in here. I actually get a beautiful, I don't know, there's a chalkiness in here, a minerality that I really like, and maybe a little white flower.
It's grapefruit is the first thing that comes to my mind.
So now I'm going to say it's when you tear open the grapefruit, the pith, the oil from the skin.
Almost what
pith
shoots out, almost that little bit of a spray that you sometimes get.
From the oils. Let's taste this. Daniel, I've said this to you a million times. The first sip of any wine never counts. I'm begging for 3 sips. First, we call the rinse. Second, to really balance the wine. Although right now I'm salivating like a madman based on having red wine before this, because I'm always drinking wine even when I'm not on duty. I'm going to taste this again now.
On the job, off the job, it'll make sense.
Let's taste it one more time, and this time is for balance. We're going to balance between fruit and acid. Down it goes, and here comes just a flood of that. And there it is, grapefruit, by the way. Beautiful acidity washes in, clears it from front to back, and then the fruit just keeps rising. So we salivate, and we dissipate, and it comes back again.
It's very interesting. It is like no other. It doesn't seem to be where we had a wine earlier before you took me on a tour where I can't remember what it was, but it was like a Chardonnay. But this really is unique in its own.
Yeah. So that and you know what it is? That was about mouth feel and the weight of the wine.
Right.
This is a lighter wine, but it's all about just really, really vibrant acidity that just lifts it and just carries it across your palate.
I would love everyone to be able to experiment this with some really spicy seafood. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
A crab cake with a little kick of chili, because I think it could take on some power where you can still have this and appreciate the wine with that little bit of a bite.
But see, if I were to pour this with any think about when you go to a happy hour and or a reception, a really elegant reception where all of the treats coming out. I'd say 2/3 of them are usually fried. It's like fried is like a bad word, but like they're crispy, let's say, or they've been broiled with a little breadcrumb. The crunch of a little bit of fat, a little bit of oil, a little bit of bread or a crust with this just explodes.
I'm
Just
going to
makes it so
ask,
much
and
better.
I love how you pull this down where it doesn't have to be the snobbery and it doesn't have to be what's written in the books. I'm going to ask you a question which may be nowhere near this. Is there any similarity between this and sake? Because I'm thinking Japanese. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I'm wondering
yeah,
what
absolutely.
there is.
Yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see that those aromas. And sake has a very unique profile where you're tasting. Ostensibly rice, but it's not. It actually has been fermented, and it smells. It could smell a little creamy and a little. It could be in some cases a little sour, but it's not at all in here. But yeah, it's something about that. There's a cream, like a lactic aroma that comes up, and it's
There
in
was
wine
something, I
production,
don't know
and
if
it's
that
in
was-
and it's in rice wines too, and sakes.
Beautiful. What should we move on to next?
So I have a Love Block Sauvignon Blanc, and we're going to talk about what does that top say to you right now when I show you, when I point to you like that. What does the top say?
Screw top.
Screw cap, and we've talked about the screw caps. Americans are petrified of the screw cap, even though it has our name all over it, because a lot of us who may have grew up maybe, at a time when there was only very, very cheap wine with screw caps, we think.
Well, that's what happened in England. It was the cheapest of wines that had the screw cap, and then you suddenly went to Australia, New Zealand, and they were having wines that you didn't keep for 2-3 years, that you were having instantly, and it made no difference to it. And we took it on in England very, very strong, that actually there's no reason not to. It's easier, and it doesn't have to have that.
New Zealand and Australia in particular took it as rule that we were going to get rid of the cork and go with screw cap. And it's very rare to find bottles that have corks in them unless they're super, super high end. But for everyday drinking, why not have a screw cap?
Where are we going? What country and continent are we at now?
We're there. We're actually down. We're down under.
We are.
So here we have Love Block Sauvignon Blanc, New Zealand. From not just New Zealand, Marlborough is one of the primary regions of New Zealand where Sauvignon Blanc is unique. Smell it. Give it a little swirl and a sniff. And what do you smell? It's just, if I were in a blind tasting, I know we're in New Zealand because it is a very, very unique aroma of not just the grassiness that you pick up in a lot of Sauvignon Blancs, but there's also a little bit of that kiwi and
there's a dark green, like a forest feel. There's something
a little piney, maybe a little pine needle-y, maybe. But it's also, to me, it's got that tutti fruity aroma of kiwi fruit or something in there too.
It's
like
amazing
it's
you
a
describe
it's
it.
a tanginess. Let's taste. Really, really pretty. I'm going to taste it one more time.
Talk about temperatures when we're serving this, because I love how this tastes, and there's something about this right temperature.
Because we had it in the kitchen fridge here at EVINE, and we took it out 15 minutes before we wanted it, because kitchen fridges are too cold. So Americans, we drink our red wine too warm. It should be around 60 degrees, and we drink our white wine too cold. And the fix is easy. The fix is easy.
Once that's out the fridge and your guests arrive, don't put it back in the fridge once you pour a few glasses. Let it stand
if I
out.
can convince you to make an ice bucket with water and ice and keep it on the counter throughout the night, just put things back in for a few minutes. 5 minutes changes everything.
So this has got a very sophisticated texture to it.
Oh, to me, it's very elegant. I mean, so Sauvignon Blanc is from the Loire Valley of France, and also in Bordeaux, in white Bordeaux, Bordeaux Blanc. We don't think of white wines from Bordeaux, but Bordeaux Blanc is Sauvignon Blanc plus Semillon. This, to me, has some of that refinement. It's
I
very
must
pretty.
say, I am a big fan of the California wines, a big fan. Unfortunately, I think the market's very saturated here, where we don't get to taste things like this from New Zealand and Australia, because a lot of Europeans will have a big selection of everything. What you're getting here is a real taste of what world wines are about, and that's what I love with this presentation of all of them. So we are going to move.
I'm taking you now. We're still in the southern hemisphere.
Good, I like
now
it.
We're going over to Argentina. So Danielle, if I say to you one grape, I just say Argentina, and you could only think of one grape, what is it?
Malbec.
It's the calling card of Argentina, and I love that. I actually love that because there's so much in the world today where you could get Cabernet from Napa Valley, from Washington State, from South America, North America, but Malbec is unique to Argentina because Bordeaux sort of threw it out of the blend.
Would you say it's as unique as almost Chenin Blanc is still to South Africa?
Absolutely.
So they've got their unique...
It's a lock, yeah, and nobody else does it as good as they do. So I love to pour this for you, and I love pouring Malbec in general because I have a sweet spot for Argentina. I had my honeymoon there with my wife, and we drank a lot of Malbec. But here's what I would tell you about Malbec.
Wow.
One of the 5 primary red grapes of Bordeaux, but one of the least appreciated and the least used, went to Argentina. I like to joke it's the Evita Peron of grapes. It rose from the ashes to the heights of Argentine culture.
This
and
has
it's just
really
beautiful.
got a strength
Beautiful.
in that aroma, one of the strongest.
Well, think about it. If we're talking about Bordeaux, we're talking about a powerful wine. This is one piece of the puzzle, 5 pieces in the puzzle. This is one piece. And there it is. It's this beautiful, super earthy, super full-bodied.
Earthy is exactly what you said. I love how you really can get that description, because I had something and I couldn't think how to describe it.
Back to wine temperature, why you could smell this. Why it doesn't smell like a snifter of brandy, because I chilled these for you down to 60. So we have 2 fridges here at EVINE, one for the whites around 42.
So if we have 2 refrigerators at home, we should do this. We should do one for red wines.
If you could splurge for a wine fridge that has 2 temperatures, 43 and 53 is all you need. But if you're going to use your kitchen fridge, you could take white wines out 15 minutes. White wine out, it might be a little longer, like an hour maybe.
Can you damage a red wine
No.
by putting it in a refrigerator
No.
and then taking it out?
No.
I didn't know
You know what the
that.
damage is? Leaving it on top of a bookcase or in those wine racks in the kitchen at the top of the room for a year, where they're slow cooking at the top of in the hottest room in the house, outside of the boiler room. Heat is more damaging than temperature.
Actually, it's the only place I've had a bad bottle of wine is in Thailand, because of the temperature, and they don't store it that well sometimes, where it's
Right.
out in that heat, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. So you can't destroy it by keeping it in the refrigerator.
No,
Love
you'll
it.
just slow down development, but you can destroy it with heat. Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's an instance, I'm going to just guess, having tasted with you enough to know what you're going to say now, that it tastes completely different than it smells.
Completely different.
Right? Tell me how.
It doesn't have as fruity a smell. It has a fruitier aroma than it does a taste.
Yes.
It's a much drier, almost a closer between a white wine rosé, like a just drier,
Yeah,
drier feel to it.
It's beautiful to me, and,
Yeah.
and I would say for me, it's not as powerful as it smells.
Now, we
I'm
know-
almost expecting it to be like, oh my God, it's going to be a lockdown in power. That's beautiful.
When we think of Argentina,
Yes.
we think of steak. We think
Yes.
of, lots of beef.
When
and
you went
lots
like
of
this just now, I
skewers.
thought you were going to say tango.
Is that something that you feel that would pair so nicely with this?
It's natural. It is a complete natural. So
Yeah.
steak, but also, I mean, you'll find this out at wine bars when they're having tapas during happy hour, which nobody does it like all the Spanish countries, the Latin countries. Argentina, the happy hours we used to have with the empanadas, and so like a beef empanada with this would be fantastic. Empanada de carne, they call it. With this beautiful wine, perfect. Moving along, we have the lucky country.
Where are we going to? So we're going to Australia. Has got an amazing variety. I mean, incredible.
Yeah,
and they've
so-
got some real boutique little vineyards as well, haven't they?
Oh my God, but I mean, it's a humongous country with wine being grown everywhere. And you have this culture of Shiraz, which is, I mean, a unique expression of Syrah. So if you come to my house for dinner or even for drinks, I'm always pulling out something. I love the Rhone. And there's a whole movement in California of the Rhone Rangers. And we'll taste them together, but where you have Grenache or Syrah grown in the New World by people in California or in the New World who love those French expressions. The Australians are second to none in identifying that same expression from France, but growing it there, and they're very unique.
Wouldn't you love these stories to tell your guests around a table? Wouldn't you love to go around continents? Australia, we're down under, and we've also got from Argentina, and we're in South Africa. Nice stories, and every time you see the wine list, just take a look and have a little bit of a kind of education from Anthony and understanding, and you will be able to maybe give a story when you pour a bottle of wine like this. So what am I looking for here?
Around the world, by way of the Southern Hemisphere.
Yes.
All these 4
Yeah,
wines, these beautiful wines together. This is a dinner party waiting to happen right here. I'm looking for in here, if you smell it, when I smell this, God, to me it's all dates and dried fruits, sweetness in there in the background, but to me it's very dried fruits, big heady, I don't know, earthy aromas. I taste it and I just think it's delicious. Now here's one where I would say, I don't need food right away. I might be able to have a glass or 2 before I pair it with something amazing and big like lamb or beef.
What I like is where the journey almost stops here. It doesn't have this continual taste. It hasn't got something that's a strong aftertaste. It really is kind of clean and it's sharp, if that makes sense.
And you know why? New
Why's that?
World. New
Is that
World.
why?
So all of these are New World wines, meaning not from Europe.
Right.
And the expectation in Europe is that wine and food are intrinsically locked together. Wine and food have to go together. In the New World, we like wine to be delicious by itself or with food. We're not so picky about it. And it's not to say we're not sophisticated, but we want delicious wine, and we don't want to have to think about, oh, what does it go with?
Anthony, a beautiful selection you brought to us, and it's all powered by Uncorked.com. We're going to get you a selection of wines from all over the globe, and it's right here on EVINE.com as an exclusive package for you to become that little bit of a connoisseur. Cheers.
Cheers.